That's not true. That's not, you don't have to have a relationship with Jesus to have a relationship with God, because
John
once I
14
left,
6.
it does not. That's your life and your reality and your perspective, and that's what makes you closer to God. And if it makes you a better person, that should leave less room for judgment of how people have a closer relationship with God, and if they're operating out of love, light, and joy, and that's really all that really matters. Because a lot of Christianity is based and rooted in slavery, evilness, and it came from a place where Black people wasn't even allowed really to practice it out loud. We had to do it very silently. So if you want to get to the origin and the root of where it even came from, it wasn't even really practiced for, it wasn't even for us. Caucasian people didn't even want Black people to even have a relationship with Jesus at all. We had African spirituality and several practices way before Christianity even came into play. So the relationship with Jesus is based on individuality, and what keeps your relationship with God is how your daily practices, worship, journaling, meditation, yoga, whatever you need to do to keep your relationship with God open is not deemed, it should not be deemed as the devil work, because it's not going through Jesus one channel. That channel does not work for everybody, because when I left Christianity, I became a better person. I felt more accepted. I felt more closer to God outside of me, and then also awakening the God within me and knowing that I was able to co-create my reality. And I do think that prayer and manifestation is of the same coin, because I pray, I call out to God, and then I also allow the God within me to receive what it is that I'm calling out.
The false gospel of New Age spirituality is attaining this Christ consciousness and this enlightenment or some sort of spiritual knowledge. What is Christ conscious? So, Christ conscious is basically an awareness of the higher self as part of the universal system, i.e., the state of consciousness in which someone or a person finds their self realization as a part of a unity with the divine. So the natural question that stems from this is, when and how do you know when you have attained this Christ consciousness? Because I'm pretty sure some people will spend their entire life not attaining this Christ consciousness, doing all this mental mindfulness, practicing law of attraction, saying some sort of mantras, practicing this yogas and aligning their chakras and still not attain this Christ consciousness. But well, hey, there's hope because they will come back, they will reincarnate and come back, and I guess they will practice it all over again. This is the false gospel of the New Age practice or the New Age spirituality. It is sad because the majority of new ages out there have some sort of Christian background. They are either ex Christians who have turned into new ages, or they are either Christians mixing with new age spirituality or new thought spirituality. So in Galatians chapter 1, verse 6, this is what Paul says: I am astonished that you are so quickly deserting him who called you in the grace of Christ and are turning to a different gospel. Not that there is another, but there are some who trouble you and want to distort the gospel of Christ. But even if we or an angel from heaven should preach to you a gospel contrary to the one we preach to you, let him be accursed. As we have said before, so now I say again, if anyone is preaching to you a gospel contrary to the one you received, let him be accursed. For am I now seeking the approval of men or of God? Or am I trying to please man? If I were trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ. So, yes, there is such a thing as a different gospel. There is such a thing as another gospel. But unfortunately, it is not the gospel that Christians do preach about. And what is the gospel that Christians do preach about? We talk about the fact that Jesus was sent into this world to seek and to save that which was lost by giving himself up on the cross and on the third day resurrected. And in Galatians chapter 5, verse 1, this is what Paul says in Galatians chapter 5, verse 1. For freedom, Christ had set us free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not submit again to a yoke of slavery. So, yes, indeed, the freedom that New Age practice or New Age spirituality offer is indeed slavery. In Genesis chapter 3, the Bible described the enemy or the serpent as cunning. So, what did he do? He offered Adam and Eve freedom, freedom from God, freedom to make their own moral decision apart from God, freedom to attain wisdom apart from God. But in actual fact, he substituted that freedom for slavery, that freedom from bondage. And that is exactly what Paul is talking about here. And that is exactly what New Age spirituality or New Age practice is all about. They are offering freedom, but in actual fact, they are giving slavery, they are giving bondage. So the false gospel of the New Age is real. So beware about that. Because for freedom, Christ has set us free. Stand firm, therefore, and do not submit again to a yoke of slavery that is found in any other religion that is a work based religion apart from Christ, apart from the work of Christ on the cross. Grace and peace.